Skill number 1, passing a soccer ball. Observation. Observer characteristics. Our observer is a confident 8-year-old that is not fully developed. Task characteristics. The task we are teaching is passing a soccer ball. This is a discrete skill because there is a distinct beginning and end. Where? We will be teaching this skill during training on the soccer field. Why? The reason for teaching this is for the observer to learn a basic skill. What? We will be using passive and active cues because the observer is at the intermediate level and knows what to look for. The observer will also be focusing on the relative timing of the joints. These joints include hips, knees, and ankles. Who? Because the observer is confident, we will be using a skilled model who is a non-peer. How? The model will be demonstrating the skill using an objective approach in real time, and the demonstrations will be observer controlled. When? The skill will be taught during training because the observer has attempted this skill before. Outcome. The expected outcome will be that the observer learns the skill of passing a soccer ball. Feedback. Observer characteristics. Our observer is an intermediate, confident 8-year-old that is not fully developed. Task characteristics. The task we are teaching is passing a soccer ball. This is a discrete skill because there is a distinct beginning and end. Where? We will be teaching this skill during training on the soccer field. Why? The reason for teaching this is for the observer to learn a basic skill. What? The type of feedback we will be using is a prescriptive and descriptive knowledge of performance because the observer is confident and has experience. We will also use error and correctness in our feedback because the observer has high self-efficacy. Who? Because the observer is confident, we will be using a skilled model who is a non-peer. How? We will use verbal feedback because Dr. Rymal said so. When? We will use terminal augmented feedback because it is a discrete skill. Additional concept. The additional concept we chose for our first skill is the Neo-Burstinian stages. The first stage is the novice stage. The observer's body is rigid while attempting to complete the pass. She is freezing the degrees of freedom in order to try and ease the movement pattern. Her knees, hips, and ankles are stiff. The second stage is advanced stage. The observer is starting to release the degrees of freedom. Movement pattern on the kick seems more fluent and smooth than in the novice stage. Dynamics of the soccer pass are now more apparent to the observer. Third stage is the expert stage. Observer continues to release and recognize the degrees of freedom to execute the soccer pass. The observer also learns to exploit additional passive forces that are external to her and executes a perfect fluid kick.
Hi, my name is Danny. Today we're gonna learn the skill of passing the ball, a soccer ball. Have you ever passed a ball before? You have any experience doing it?
I have a little experience. I'm feeling pretty confident.
Okay, good. So what we're gonna do is first I'm gonna show you a pass. Okay? Okay. So what I want you to look at is the way I position my body. Yeah? So look at my leg goes all the way, so I follow through, and then I turn my head open so I can actually do the nice side one side.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you show me one more time?
Okay, yeah. So this time, I want you to really look at the way I put my body. So I'm opening my head, and then with my leg, I'm following through. Yeah?
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you sure?
I'm confident. I'm ready.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
Okay, so that was not the best pass.
Okay.
But so I have a couple of feedback for you. So first, you kick with your toe. Get it? So next time, I actually want you to kick it with the inside of your foot, right? And you didn't follow through. You just kind of like just poke it in, and we actually want to follow through the whole leg motion.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I see it one more time?
Yeah.
Please. Okay. Okay, that was better. I still we still need to work on some other things. First, I think you're hitting the ball too low. You see how the ball is bouncing, so you're hitting it too low. So I want you to actually hit it on the middle of the ball, so it just kind of goes like flat onto the ground. Yeah. Next one. Good job on planting your foot. I saw you planting it right next to the ball, which gave you some good control on the ball. Okay. And good power too. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so how are you feeling? Good?
Still feeling
Feel
confident.
confident about it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see it one more time.
Okay.
And remember all the cues we went over. So remember you plant your foot, follow through, open your hip, give me some good power and hit it on the center of the ball.
Okay.
Okay? Let me see. Good. That was way better.
All right.
Skill number 2, jump rope. Observation. Observer characteristics. Our observer is a 12-year-old, unskilled beginner with low confidence. Task characteristics. We will be teaching our observer how to jump rope. It is a highly complex skill because it involves many joints. It is a continuous skill because there is no distinct beginning and end. Where? At school during PE. Why? The reason we are teaching this skill is for performance. We want to help our observer learn to jump rope and build confidence. What? We will be giving passive cues because the observer is a beginner and does not know what to look for. He will also be directed to focus on the relative timing of the joints, which include wrists, ankles, and hips. Who? We will use an unskilled peer model because the observer is a beginner with low confidence and we do not want to intimidate him. How? We will demonstrate the skill with a mirrored approach using a video, and it will be coach controlled because the observer is inexperienced. When? Demonstrations will take place before teaching because the observer has never performed the skill before. Outcome. Learning a motor skill. Feedback. Observer characteristics. Our observer is a 12-year-old unskilled beginner with low confidence. Task characteristics. We will be teaching our observer how to jump rope. It's a highly complex skill which involves many joints and is a continuous skill because there is no distinct beginning and end. Where? At school during PE. Why? The reason we're teaching this skill is for performance. We want to help our observer learn to jump rope and build confidence. What? The type of feedback used is prescriptive knowledge of performance because he is inexperienced, and also knowledge of results to help build his confidence. We will also be focusing on his correctness because he has a low self-efficacy. We'll be using quotes such as "good job jumping to a rhythm," "good job bouncing on your toes," "keep making small wrist circles," "keep a slight bend in your knees," and "keep pushing your chest out." Who? We will use an unskilled peer model because the observer is a beginner with low confidence and we do not want to intimidate him. How? We will use verbal feedback because Dr. Rymal said so. When? The type of feedback used will be concurrent, augmented feedback because it is continuous skill and the observer is a beginner. outcome, motor and effect. The additional concept we chose for our second skill was the characteristics of learning. As you will see in the video, we were able to determine that the observer met 5 out of the 5 characteristics of learning. We started the video by assessing the current skills of the observer. The teacher then taught the skill, then came back a week later and gave a retention test. The retention test shows, number 1, improvement, because the observer was performing the skill much better than when he first started. Number 2, consistency, because he was able to stay jumping to a rhythm throughout the lesson. Number 3 was persistence. This was shown because he was able to continue to perform the skill after a long period of time. Number 4 was stability. This was demonstrated when the teacher asked him to jump as many times as possible without messing up. And number 5 was adaptability. By having him jump with both feet at the same time, he was able to execute that.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Today for PE, we're going to learn how to jump rope. We're going to learn how to jump rope so you can increase your skill and your confidence so that we can do jump rope for heart coming up at school. How do you feel about jump roping?
Well, I never jumped rope before, so I'm not very confident, but I'm excited.
Okay, that's great. Do you want to maybe show me some skills that you have jump roping? Maybe give it a try for the first time?
Yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. I don't know how good it's gonna be.
Okay, let's see it. Okay. Okay, that was good. Why don't we look at a video of one of your classmates jumping rope, and maybe you can use that as a model for your jump roping.
Okay, let's take a look.
Take a look. Okay.
Yeah, see.
Yeah. See, they're swinging it over, they're bending their knees, maybe not jumping so high off the ground.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so that's the video of a classmate doing it. Do you want to try one more time?
Okay, yeah, I think I can give it a try.
Okay. Let's see it. Ready, go. Okay. All right, good job keeping to a rhythm. That's okay for most stuff. Keep on going. Okay. Maybe make small wrist circles, like in the video. There you go. Keep making that slight bend in your knees. Good job bouncing on your toes. Keep pushing your chest out. Okay, good job.
Exhausted.
How do you,
Tired.
tired?
A little bit more confident.
A little bit
but
more confident?
That's still tough.
All right, well that's all for today. I'll see you back in a week and we can practice again and we can see if you learned the skill of jump rope.
Alright.
Okay. Hi Alex, welcome back.
Hi.
We're getting closer to that jump rope competition. How are you feeling?
Feeling excited. Went home, practiced.
Good.
My sister, she's pretty good at jump roping, so I learned.
Helped you out? Building that confidence a little? Good, that's what I like to hear. Okay, so to see if you learned how to jump rope, if you actually learned the skill, we're going to give you a retention test. So first, let's go ahead and have you jump rope the best you can. Go ahead. Okay, good job. You really improved. All right, so let's see if you can jump rope for a while, and that'll test your consistency. Good job. You're really consistent. All right, so now to test your adaptability, since you jump with one foot each time, let's see if you can jump with both feet each time, like I showed you in the video of your classmate.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Practice it a few times.
Okay. All right, so you've shown adaptability too. So next, let's test your stability. Let's see if you can jump rope as long as you can without messing up.
Okay.
Okay, that was really good. Okay, so since we also tested your persistence by doing this retention test, you've hit at least 3 out of the 5 characteristics of learning. So I think it's safe to say, by rule of thumb, you've learned how to jump rope, and I think you're ready for that jump rope competition next week.
Yes.